Welcome, everybody. Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please. Here.
Here. Here.
Our spiritual advisor isn't here today, so we'll do a moment of silence for invocation. Miigwech. Approval of the agenda.
I have a couple additions underneath Andy, the court project, Net Court project, and the strategic plan. At the end, I would like to add the donation committee underneath other. Randy Long also has a Verizon wireless resolution for a lease on one of our towers.
Other? Okay. Any other additions or?
Yeah, I would like to, add discussion and clarification on the 1854 per capita payments for this year, and just clearing up some misinformation out there.
Okay. Any other additions? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the agenda with those additions. Moved by Ray, is there a second? Seconded by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Introduction of new staff.
We do the approval of minutes. Do we do that?
Oh, yeah, approval of the minutes. I'm sorry, Donna. Approval of minutes from February 7, 2018, held in Lake Vermilion. It's my mistake, Donna. Sorry. I do want to make a comment regarding the election boards. When people sign up for the election boards, we do have them run through, of course, the background check, but there's also a drug test. And some boards, those openings are available yet. Okay, any questions on the minutes? Ray? Ray, motion to approve the minutes made by Ray. Is there a second? Second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent. Motion carried. Introduction of new staff. Morning, Andy. Good morning, Tracy.
Introducing Tracy Dagan, our new registrar and energy assistance coordinator.
Oops.
come up with a solution to that. Okay, that's all the questions I have.
I know one of the things that I saw in here, first of all, I think this is just a great thing, and what I read in here really doesn't pertain to these two ladies and the good job that they're doing. One thing that I saw in this grant proposal or whatever was a form that talks about disclosure of funding form, the grant RFP. And it states, per the Federal Funding Accountability and Transparency Act of 2006, Transparency Act, or FFATA, Public Law 109282, all entities and organizations receiving federal funds are required to report full disclosure of funding. United States Code, Title 31, Chapter 61, Section 6101. And it states, the purpose of FFATA is to provide every American with the ability to hold the government accountable for each spending decision. The end result is to reduce wasteful spending in the government. The FFATA legislation requires information on federal awards to be made available to the public through a single searchable website. Federal awards include grants, subgrants, loans, awards, and delivery orders. Now, that's a small piece of it, but the reason I bring that up is in our own government, how that pertains to us, and what I've been told since I've been on council is that the reason we can't fully disclose information to our own band membership and be accountable to our own people is because the federal grants don't allow it. And this clearly states that that is not the case. I mean, if we can post expenditures, salaries, and whatever else the money's being spent on to the American public, we should be able to do it to our own band membership. And I just want to clarify that whole whatever that's been, where we have to keep everything a secret is a, to me, it doesn't look like it's right. And of course, here we got.
I was going to explain the FFATA requirements.
So, but I mean, if just a basic, from what I see, if we have to do that there, why can't we do it on our own? So.
Kim?
The FFATA requirements, there is a website that you can go search for any grant to an agency, to a, and it's called usaspending.gov, and you can go in there and you can search. But it tells you basically the grant number, who the recipient is, and the amount of the award, and the and the dates it's available. The in the FFATA requirements, because like it on a lot of the grants where it says sometimes it asks to list the top 5 executives, except for where it's by law you can't. And since the tribal council has the data privacy ordinance, that's the law, that we can't post the council salaries. That's about as much restriction we have. But as a band member, they can come in and look at our grants or, you know, they make the appointment and come in and look at stuff. And that's always been in place since I've worked here.
So, yeah, there's no
Yeah.
doubting what you're saying. What
Yeah.
my point was
Uh-huh.
is that this is clearly, you know, if we can report those types of things to the American public, then the band's data privacy ordinance is based on something false, I think. And so the problem is the band's data privacy ordinance that was imposed on ourselves. My point here is that through these grants and through these expenditures and everything else, salaries, if we have to report it to outside the reservation, we should be able to report it to our own people. That's what I'm saying. And good job.
Move.
Second.
Okay, thanks. We have Andy with discussion on a 1854 treaty boundary signs. Port project. And strategic plan.
They're on state highways. I would raise that question to them. I don't know. Something the whole group might, I mean, it's not that much money, but I mean, every dollar counts nowadays, so, yeah. So let's, if we could research that, and then I'm wondering also about the design. You know, you got those green signs, it says 1854 treaty boundary. Could there be, you know, could the design reflect the native culture, or does it have to be
Green?
green? You know, that's another question I'd like to ask. I'd like to ask that question too. I'd like to, you know, whatever the design is, I'd like to have that considered, because it's, all, everybody, I look at everybody else as using our land.
Yeah, that's true. Ray brings up a good point.
Oh, within a year, they'll be painted different, I'm guessing.
Could be, I
Shut up.
They'll have different colors on them, no?
just starting an idea.
I
I
think,
think we gotta pay for them.
Of course, yeah, if they say we've gotta pay for them, but if it's on a state highway, like Joel says, the state pays for it. These are on state highways.
can you check with Ed Fairbanks at MnDOT? Because, you know, that, Ray brings a good point up.
So,
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
thanks.
Mm-hmm. I did have time to review it. Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you. Mm-hmm. I did, at the last meeting, I didn't have an opportunity to review the plan, and I did review it, and You know, a lot of the projects I see on here are really what's needed, and there's always going to be new things popping up, whatever, but for the grant, because we're requiring our programs now to apply for more grant funding and everything, this is just a important key component for those grants, is to, because that's the first thing a lot of the grants ask for is what is the strategic plan. So I'm yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good. I don't have any questions. Questions? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the 2000, what is it? 2018 to 2023 strategic plan.
Move.
Moved by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ray. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
Thank you. We will post this on the Boys Fort website.
Good.
And then as in terms of follow-up steps, then one of the next steps I think will be for all of the tribal government divisions now to go back and develop action plans,
Okay.
specific action plans in terms, to identify how these goals will be implemented.
Okay.
Okay? And that will then come back to the council as well.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait now, Andy. Net Lake Court project.
Okay.
We asked that the Net Lake Court project be put on the agenda for formal approval. We received funding, and I believe is Kim still here? Oh, okay. We received funding from a grant from Shakopee, and we also were going to use the contract support costs from the Bureau of Indian Affairs to renovate our current court building out at the PD there, to accommodate better security and also bigger court area. And so with that, the funds that are needed are approximately $900,000 in addition to the $1.25 million from Shakopee. If we do not secure the funding of the $900,000, then we will be required to, or we will be returning the $1.25 million to Shakopee because their projects have to be used for that specific project. And we've had that money now for approximately going on
3 years.
3 years.
I think so.
So we met and discussed this, and we would like to put into a motion approval of the $900,000 to be paid in the fall of 2018 for the project for the Net Lake Court building. This funding will be coming from Fortune Bay revenue due to the fact that we are not receiving any Fortune Bay revenue this year, and so some of the contract support costs that were obligated for this building are being used to help us operate this year in lieu of that funding. So in talking with Fortune Bay, we know that they're going to be able to provide us with some additional funds because they just not owe us for this year, they owe us for previous years as well. So it won't hurt our funding from Fortune Bay for next year. We've already paid for things that are due us from Fortune Bay, so.
Who met and where?
We met at Fortune Bay. You had to go to the cities that day with your team. We discussed it at Fortune Bay at the meeting with Pete Makowski.
What day was that?
Last week, you went to the game, Lakers game? You had a Minneapolis trip planned with your,
So was it,
it wasn't an official meeting, it was just a heads up. What are we gonna do? Give the money back, or are we gonna pursue the project?
and who was all at this meeting?
4 of us, and Corey.
So you think something this big should be, you know, it should be an official meeting?
That's why
or
we're
on
bringing
the-
it here today.
Or on the meeting, if we're gonna decide.
Well, we need to decide so we can decide here today. That's why we're bringing it here today.
So we're borrowing money
No, we're not borrowing any money.
from
No, we're not.
2018?
No, we're not
Or
borrowing money from.
We're putting it off?
No. No, we're not borrowing any money. Fortune Bay owes us for 2017, 18, but they owe us for previous years that we've already spent the money on. So they don't just owe us for this year, they owe us for previous years.
And we don't have money to do this right now. So we gotta wait till 218?
No, go ahead. Andy, can you explain the project, how it started 3 years back?
With a,
Oh, I know all that.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay,
I
then,
just,
Kim,
me
The
and,
money?
Okay. Fortune Bay had made commitments to pay us certain amounts of money each year. And they have recorded it in their financial statements. And they owe us money for commitments. And this previous year, they were, establishing their reserves again. And I've been told that they were going to start paying back what they owe us. So in the meantime, we had, on this project, there was, there was the Shakopee grant that you had gotten, I don't know, what was it, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
I think it was 3 years.
3 years ago, Shakopee awarded us a grant. And I believe you've talked to Shakopee about it, and it has to be used on a court project, or we have to return the money, and I believe that's 1.2 million?
1 1/4.
$1.25 million. The other part, when we first started this, when it was gonna be the court and DNR building by Public Works, the other portion of the money, there was gonna be what's the BIA contract support settlement. And what that was is out of the Rama Navajo settlement, we were awarded money for the BIA for underpaying us for contract support costs, which is of 2 types of costs. They were underpaying us for indirect, and they were underpaying us for direct contract support costs. And we've had that money on hand, and we've been using it for cash flows until Fortune Bay can pay us. So if Fortune Bay pays us the difference between the, what's it, 900,000 of what they owe us, then I release 900,000 of the contract support money to use. They also, the planning had applied for the CTAS grant for this, but they were not awarded it in 2017. We are in fiscal year 2018, so this would all take place in 2018 before September. We would use Shakopee's money first to pay for the costs, and so that would put the cost of our own money would be in late summer.
Really probably would be in the fall
in the
and
fall.
after.
So it might, I mean, the cost that we get to using that, and that's Fortune Bay's busiest time. And that's what they, you know, and they've built up their reserve and working backwards. Or, you know, working, and they'll be able to pay
So we
us.
build up first of all, we're the same. We're the same
Yeah.
people. I don't get how we always say we owe ourselves. We're them.
Yeah. They
And you don't, just because there's a little money, we don't go after it till we get it. I mean, if that place doesn't rebuild itself, we have nothing. And the more and more we do this kind of justifying when people don't quite get it, you know, the more that falls on the people that have been okaying or almost putting their stamp of approval on all these moves that have gotten us where we are. And I get the money, that we have to spend it or go back. And Shakopee's generous to give us the grant. It's not their fault, it's our fault that we don't have money saved to do these kind of things. That's what I'm getting at.
Ray?
I'm not sure. The contract support money, is that going to be paid back by the Fortune Bay distribution? Are we just
We
using
would-
some money until we
We
get
would
more?
use the contract support money that I'm using for cash flows right now.
Right, I know you're using that now.
Yeah, because,
And you brought that in, so I'm just wondering, what are we doing with it, with this project?
well, the BIA contract support settlement was 67 cents, excuse me. And 900,000 of that would be budgeted for the court project.
Okay, plus then what we're wanting to get from Fortune Bay.
Fortune Bay, no, Fortune Bay would, because we have commitments and under accounting rules, they have it booked as a payable. They already have it expensed in their financial statements over all the years. They have the cash on the hand and, or they have it booked in their financial statements. They were building their cash reserves, and in 2017, they built their cash reserves. This would be, because you had committed 2.6 million distribution from Fortune Bay for this year. And then of their current year profits, not taking money out of their reserves, they would pay the $900,000 back to what they had committed to us over the years, because we have committed that to programs to keep things, to have services for people.
Okay, my basic question is, are we using the contract support money to get the project started,
No, it would be at the end of the project,
to the project?
because we have to use the
Yeah, you're
Shakopee
using
money
Shakopee
first.
But you're just committing that now until Fortune Bay pays us back?
Yes,
Okay, so it's just, we have the money then for the project.
Yep.
And so we're gonna use the money that we have, and Fortune Bay is gonna reimburse that by paying us what they owe us.
yes.
Okay, so we have the money.
Any other questions?
Hey, I know the court project has been something we've
Thank you,
been
Kim.
pursuing for last 4 or 5 years. Our court is is very deficient in performing what it's supposed to be doing. We got attorneys meeting with clients outside in their
Outside the
cars.
building.
There's a major lack of privacy for personal things that come up in the court. Just lacking space. We need it so we can run a court efficiently. We all know we've got trouble with the court now. We don't have room for the additional staff that we need. And because it is a major need, and that's what we determined as a council at one point, and now we have the opportunity to correct the deficiencies of the court. And so I'll make the motion that we do the use the contract support funds to commit to the project. It's my motion.
I'd just like to clarify my point, and this, just so it's basic, so it's basic that, people can understand that, let's say Fortune Bay is your savings, and you have that account there, and you start building up a little bit of a money there. Well, somebody comes and tells you they're going to help you get a new car if you can write them a check, not them, but if you can pitch into it a certain amount of money, we'll pay for most of it, but you got to pay this amount. And that all sounds good, fine, and dandy if you have the money in your checking and you have the money in your savings. Now, you don't have no money in your checking, so I'm going to take what savings I have to take this offer, but who knows what the future holds with the lights and food and necessary things that we might need down the road. And that's what I'm getting at. I didn't mean borrow. I just mean we're kind of taken from ourselves. And Fortune Bay is ourselves. We're nothing without Fortune Bay. And I'm afraid someday we're just going to have to find that out the hard way.
I just want to clarify something that I'm sorry, Don, go ahead.
I just have a concern about all these projects that you're redoing. Like the court project that just got done just a few years ago. Why didn't they improve it then? Why are we doing it? That should have been under warranty from the previous contractor to come back and fix whatever. Same thing with this building here, a big $1 million building. Everything's going wrong with it. What are we gonna do, bid it out and redo it? We'll have whoever did it come fix it. Same thing with the health office, their HVAC system. That was done not too long ago too. Have them come back and fix it. Don't rebid it out. That's my thought on it. We're just wasting more money and more money on these buildings that should have been superior.
Thank you, Don. Andy?
Just to clarify things, the courthouse project that we're talking about is an addition. It's not correcting something that was not done properly in the past. It's an addition, it's new space. The HVAC system at Family Health, that's replacing an HVAC system and boilers that were about 30 years old. They just...
Why wasn't that fixed? Why wasn't that included?
At the Family Health building? They're 30-year-old boilers that have gotten to the end of their useful lifespan and you can't even get parts for them anymore. Well, we could, and we've had discussion with Cross Anderson about
If I could add
certain of
something.
the issues that are.
Ray,
If I could add.
order.
If I could add something, Andy and Don, thank you for your contribution. Those are, those are good thoughts. But the improvements on the courts, why that became a priority is because we had a
Court review done.
study
Yep.
of our courts. We had a review, and we were told what our deficiencies were, outlined things in this court review. And so that's what, we found at the time that they did the renovations many years ago, it was just, hey, let's just make things look better than they looked. So it was kind of like a cosmetic thing. But this new project is addressing areas of need that our court has, which is requiring additional space. So that's how that came about. It's, we know we did that renovation of the court, must be 10 years ago. So, but it's not adequate to meet the needs of our court. That's, in the study, the review showed us that. So that's why that became a priority.
Years ago, the Bureau of Indian Affairs contracted with a law firm or a legal firm to go out and do a review of all the tribal court systems. And each reservation that was included in that did receive a report regarding those evaluations of our court systems. That's one thing I know that we will be looking at is to improve not only the space, because as we know, fund to continue those programs that are under the Fortune Bay budget, which we did approve during regular session, line by line. So that money has to come from somewhere, otherwise those services would cease. So I just wanted to clarify that when it's expensed on the books at Fortune Bay, they basically have said that they've paid it when it really hasn't been. So Ray's got a motion on the floor for the Net Lake Court project to approve the contract support costs for the project. Is there a second?
I think before there's a second, I think one thing that we need to do, we need to look at is fixing our code, and we've been saying that since I've been here 8 years. Fix our code and how it operates. Maybe we wouldn't need as much space, but
Well,
whoever's gonna say.
and I'm gonna say this, and I hope I'm not being disrespectful, but what have you guys done in the past 8 years? Why hasn't it been done? I'll ask that. I'm new on the council. Why hasn't it been done?
Basically, we just haven't put any money. We just got a grant here.
No, to
Corey,
update the
Corey,
code.
is
Yeah,
there?
the code.
is your,
Yeah.
yeah,
it's
the
on
code.
Code. And that's the same thing. And we just got a grant this past year now that, they've actually met now and they're gonna talk to codifying the code and getting that updated. We did get a grant, about a year and a half, 2 years ago or so, where, it was a VAWA grant to rewrite our domestic violence, child welfare part of the code and update that. It's been piecemeal together because I think, just like anything, when, extra money, they've been putting aside money to, requests have come in to, obviously you need to have an attorney with the laws and stuff. So yeah, it has been piecemeal.
So we need money to update the code, is that what,
Pay an attorney to draft.
to pay an
language.
attorney? Okay.
Because I couldn't, what I would probably draft, or anyone else would
Yeah.
draft, would it stand up in court? I don't
Right.
think so. I think that there are certain rules that we need to.
And every year it's been on the thing to do it, but we just need money to pay the attorney.
Yep.
And we have been writing in the CTAS to to upgrade the codes. And we finally were successful this past year
Yep.
in the CTAS to upgrade the codes. And so that was just awarded this past October, I believe. So that's about a $25,000-$30,000 contract with
Attorney.
with an attorney. Yep. So hopefully that will be
We've been,
coming down the
and we
pipe.
have been applying.
Yep.
So, and we've been seeking out, not only from the Department of Justice, but the Bureau of Indian Affairs, Office of Justice funding. So, yeah, that's where it's coming down.
Okay, I agree, the codes need to be updated. We know what our courts need, we just need to do it. Do I have a second on the Net Lake Court project? Using of contract support costs. Motion was made by Ray. Second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Against.
Silent. Motion carried. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next, we have Danny with the Native Community Development Institute, letter of support.
Good morning, Danny.
So I apologize. I wanted to have these materials that I'm going to hand out right now to you all by last Friday, but I just kind of buttoned everything up yesterday. So the letter of support we're looking for is to register our team with the Native Communities Development Institute to work together to develop and implement a community needs assessment. And so what I'm passing around right now are letters of commitment from the departments that are committing team members and staff to attend and to be the core team to make this a reality. So I will pass these out now.
Danny, is this for like a community needs assessment?
Correct.
Okay. We need that.
So I was here in October and received your permission to submit an application, which was accepted for us to commit a team from Boys Fort to attend the workshops put on by the Institute. And so, in order to complete our registration, we have the core team members, they've committed by signing these team member expectations agreement. And so the Institute expects and requires that core team members will attend each workshop, and each one are a day and a half, and they'll be held at rotating locations in the state of Minnesota. So the core team members are Kurt Goodsky, And thanks to Tara for donating his time and his help. Next, we have Brooke Macmillan from Planning, Chimigwich to Andy. From Education, we have Leanne Hoffman. Thank you, Billy Mason. I just skipped over Health, I apologize. Thank you, Donna, for getting your letter of commitment in. We were gonna have Pam Hughes as a core team member because as we were going around talking about doing a community needs assessment, or what project we would actually take on in the Institute, the drug issue came up time and time again. So it'll definitely be a focus point of the assessment. But unfortunately, Pam Hughes is a very busy lady, and so I've reached out to Terry Defoe. She was interested. I just haven't heard back or haven't received a registration form yet. KBFT, George Strong has committed Shane Drift. Housing, thank you, Gordy, for letting me work on this and still be a part of it. I have submitted my letter of resignation, yes, as of June 1st. Be moving on to greener pastures. And so I yet really believe in this mission. I love Boys Forward. I love working with everybody. And so Minnesota Housing Partnership, they are okay with me staying on as a team coordinator. And so long as the council's okay with it and the core team approves, I'd love to still be a part of it. And then the executive director, Corey Strong, his role in overseeing all departments, it just makes sense to have him on the team as well. And then the Net Lake Police Department, Chief Burdick is waiting for authorization to come back from his supervisors to commit a team member. So we can have up to 7 team members. Right now we have 6 confirmed. So in the case that Terry Defoe or others from Health aren't able to commit to the core team, then if Burdick is able to get authorization, he could commit staff or himself. But we do meet the minimum right now with 6 core team members, so we can still move along and register for the Institute. And so outside of the workshop time, team members are expected to meet monthly and commit a minimum of 4 hours worth of work to the project each month.
Danny, can you refresh my memory and how is this being funded?
So the program, they provide the hard costs, so mileage, room and board, bringing in the expert speakers and facilitators at the workshops. Out-of-pocket expenses for the band are the salaries, the time. So to actually carry out the assessment, KBFT through Shane Drift's business development funding, they have the monies to do the actual canvassing to get the input back from the community.
Okay. Good. I know that, I don't know when the last community needs assessment was done, but I don't remember. And I really feel it's important to have that so we know what the needs are of the community. So I think it's a great project. Got a great team here too, so.
Yep, and thank you to all the department directors and everybody that's been on the mass email list that go around and finding time to meet. It is greatly appreciated.
I'd like to call for a motion to approve a letter of support for the Native Community Development Institute. Moved by Travis, there a second? Second by Ray, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, silent, motion carried. Good
Thank you,
job,
everybody.
Danny.
Thanks.
Sorry to see your letter this morning, but I'm happy for you and I'm really glad you're staying on with this project.
Thank you, yeah, and thank you for allowing me. It's nice to be able to know that I still, can engage with everybody and, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dan.
We have Don with a Carroll contract.
Morning, Don.
What I have here is the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development deed grant contract. It just needs a signature. This is the $218,500 that is to go towards training, and we have a training coming up at the end of March, April. That's gonna include all the trades, well, most of the trades, and 10 band members from each tribe.
Is this just a one-year contract, Don?
Yes.
Okay.
We did talk with Reed about possibly end it out if we don't get it expended. Read that day.
Originally, it was supposed to be done by July, but in working with Chelsea Jorgensen from the deed program,
Okay.
they extended it till December.
And I know Ray and I met with Reed last week when we were down in the cities to see the U.S. Attorney, and he did say that there shouldn't be a problem with extending this even till next year, so, just so there's no rush for you.
It was kind of a task to work with. It was just thrown in my lap when I got back.
We missed you.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to bring up, and as long as Don is here, and it was mentioned earlier, is with the Taro Committee, and I would like the council to sit down and discuss the mileage reimbursement from Net Lake to Tower, like Ray had mentioned, because Don did send us an email regarding people who sit on her Taro Committee not being able to get mileage to attend the Taro Committee meetings because they're not working. And so I really think we need to revisit that item, so I'd like to bring that to the council today, that we set up a meeting to discuss it and bring it back or revisit it. So just so you know, Don, we will be looking at that. If there's no questions on Don's contract, I'll call for a motion to approve the Taro contract. Moved by Ray. Is there a second? Second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Next, we'll do Randy with Verizon lease resolution.
Morning, Randy. Oh, okay.
I'm here to ask the tribal council's permission and to ask the tribal council to accept the resolution for Verizon Wireless to install cellular equipment on the Fortune Bay Water Tower. Currently, we have AT&T broadcasting off of that site. Verizon has also requested the use of that site. We've agreed upon a $1,700 a month rental agreement with a 2% annual increase in that each year. I think it would be highly favorable to the people attending Fortune Bay, as we've estimated approximately 50% of the guests utilize Verizon Wireless in that area.
I agree. I know that when a lot of people come from the Minneapolis area or out of our service area for AT&T, a majority of them are Verizon users. So when they come up here, they have no phone service. They kind of know where we were at years ago with no phone service when they come up here. But I agree. I know that a lot of the people visiting don't have AT&T. They've got Verizon.
Yep, I agree.
Randy, where does the rental income go into then?
That would be a question for Kim.
Oh, sorry. I mean, just out of curiosity.
I'm not sure.
The income will go into the Vermillion Water Fund
Okay,
because it's
on the water tower.
Yeah.
Okay, good, thank you. If no questions for Randy, I'll call for a motion to approve the Verizon, resolution for the Verizon lease.
Move.
Moved by Travis, is there a second? Second by Ray, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, silent, motion carried. Thank you, Randy.
Thanks.
When will that be up, do you know? Or
I'm
the,
anticipating 3 months for the BIA to approve the lease. It's been
okay.
about that, and following that, probably
Okay.
a month to 2, early summer,
okay,
start installation.
okay, thank you.
Okay, next we have the donations. Handed out to you guys, the donation packet. The approval from the committee.
When we receive any donations, they do go before a donations committee. The donation committee met, and here was the recommendations. We have approvals, Orion Dag and Good Sky, a match up to $500 for a trip to Washington DC. Virginia Community Foundation,
We're gonna do another mural.
are they doing another mural, it looks like, yep. And then we have the St. Louis County Youth in Action Partners Project, which they had at Fortune Bay. Virginia Community Foundation was $150. St. Louis Community Youth in Action was $200. Little Earth Mother's Day Powwow, $250. Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition, $150. Native American Spiritual Services Group in the amount of $100. Those were approved. And then also the last approval was for William Whiteman for Alexandria and Adriana Whiteman to attend the JO volleyball program. $268. There were some disapprovals. Lutheran Social Service of Minnesota, W.C. Heim Medical Foundation, Bemidji State Unity, and Lakota Omnisei. I don't know how to say that. Do we have a motion to approve the donations as presented? Moved by Ray, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trav. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
Last, we had a discussion for clarification for the 1854 per cap payment.
Through the course of the last week, I received some calls and some messages regarding information being passed out there that this year the 1854 per capita payments were not going to happen, and they were very respectful. I think they were kind of leery of hearing it, so that's why they asked. They wanted some clarification on it, and you know, if you get one, that's one thing, but when you get a few of them, you know, people are out there saying that that it's not a good thing, and we as a council need to officially you know, set that to rest, that isn't true.
No.
So
Kim?
Oh, I was just getting prepared for when he was done.
right, okay, so I just like an official response, not only here, but in the paper, and in even, who knows, maybe even a mailing, that that is not the case, that people will be getting their 1854 per capitas like they do every year, based on the sales, hunting sales and stuff. When that stuff is clarified, it's just a very malicious thing that people are calling and saying. So,
In the budget packets, you remember I had the big 5 books? When we did that, in there, the per capitas are budgeted at 100% to be distributed as, or, you know, the treaty agreement money is to be distributed as per capita.
so it's budgeted to be distributed at 100% to
Yeah.
the band members. And
Yeah.
so we just need to clarify that for each and every one of our band members,
Yep.
so they know. And when they hear that, they take it as what it is, and it's just, it's a lie.
The only thing that we changed over the year was because Corey had said we were going to have a discussion on per capita payment. That's why I had stepped out a little bit, because I thought you were going to talk about the garnishment part. So I went and got a bunch of information. But there'll be letters going out to people to make arrangements who owe, that are more than 90 days that owe us. Money that are past due over 90 days, to make arrangements, or their per capita will be garnished. So that will be those will be starting to go out on March 1st. That's the only thing that's changed. Because you guys get emails from me when we do per capita of like how much people owe, and like a lot on the back rents, etc. That's the only thing that changed.
Okay. I think too, Brandon, thank you, Kim. When you talk about getting it out there, like in the newspaper, you'd like to see something, I think we can put it on the website also.
Yeah.
Okay. But I know that those types of things kind of cause an uproar, because a lot of people depend on that income every year for either school or whatever their needs may be. And I can reassure everybody that there's been not even one moment of discussion to say that we're not going to distribute our $1854 out. It's always been 100% distribution, and it still remains that way today. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I'll call for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Don't you guys want to leave? Moved by Ray.
Second.
Second by Brandon. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Thank you, everybody.